The preseason lost today to the Buffalo Bills, but a lot of things to break down with head coach. Matt, first of all, your overall general view of what you saw today.
No, I thought the whole week was really good, in terms of us getting game preparation, getting our routine down, a couple weeks prior to the start of the regular season. And the coaches did a really nice job with their meetings and preparing those and getting the guys ready. There's a lot of things that we had in the game plan that we didn't run today that we typically would. And so we wanted to keep the volume the same. And then we basically had, the game, the game was a different menu, relative to what we wanted to show, what we wanted to do. So the guys handled that volume really well, and I was excited about that. But in terms of the game, we came back a little bit on offense. We had started out with 2 3-and-outs, and we came back with a nice drive and capped it off with a good score there. And defensively, we did some good things. And I thought that overall, I liked the way the frontliners performed. We were a little shorthanded today at the offensive line, but I thought those guys that came in there, played well and protected well and did some nice things.
Explain the thinking though on that drive that Bajan finished off for Justin after.
Yeah. That's just simple play count. We had him capped right there, and so it was his time to come out, and we converted there, and then we got Tyson in there. So.
Hey, Matt, you often use the phrase assignment and alignment. Is that something that you can recognize from the sideline, or is it something that you have to see in your film review?
No, you can recognize it. Yeah, you get used to it after all these years watching the game from the sideline. You can see a lot of things, and you know where the point of attack is and where guys are on and when they're off, and you can definitely see it. And you can coach off of it too. Series to series, and all that. So it's pretty easy to see.
One thing I did like is the enthusiasm that was still in the stadium at the end of the game, both by the fans and your players.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important approach to have, where there is a carryover effect where they stay in the game, they're mentally in the game, they're physically in the game, and then you sit there fighting to the end.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And, Chicago Bears fans have always been great. They travel well. And, and we're trying to create, I know Kevin and Ryan and all the people, with the Bears are trying to create an environment, which you could see that the different things we're doing at the stadium to get the fans involved. And, they spend a lot of time and attention on that in the offseason, and you can certainly feel that, the fans having fun, and we, trying to put a good product on the field so they can be proud of that.
When you think of, going ahead with the Chicago Bears, do you have to get involved and pay attention to the cuts, or are you on the Green Bay already when trying to figure out the game plan in what your guys' system approach is going to be?
No, that's great. That's a great question, and we were all involved. Just like when the coaches and scouts, are hand in hand and making these decisions, because it affects everybody. So we will have a meeting with the offensive staff and the defensive staff and special teams, and then we'll sit down with the coordinators, Ryan, myself, Ian, and we'll sit down with the coordinators and make these tough decisions that we have to make. So there's a lot of them that we have to make, and they're never easy. And I just want to thank all the players for having a great, off season and a great training camp. And those guys worked their tails off, and I couldn't be more proud of those guys.
So hopefully they made some decisions harder for you today.
Yes, they did. They sure did.
Let's talk about some of the rookies. Number one, Tyler Scott in the return game had himself a nice long 56-yard return. Obviously, part of it is the blocking in front of him too, but an average of 32 on his kick returns today. Made his clean grabs on the punts. A nice job for him. How does it impact?
Yeah, I mean, he was a little bit banged up last week when we were in Indianapolis, and he came back strong and had a nice week of practice. And we were certainly excited about him in the return game and also being a viable weapon for us as a receiver. But he put his best foot forward today, and I like to see that.
All right. Now, this was the tug-of-war discussion we had up here just about a young corner like Tyreek Stevenson. Whatever I've heard about him, everybody says, hey, listen, if he gets beat or if something happens, he does not care. He gets back up on his horse and he plays. So he gets the interception after 2 flags. That kind of physicality and that aggressiveness obviously plays well into his style. How do you balance the two? And our team's going to test him in that regard and see if this guy – because oftentimes you find guys who draw flags early, they keep going at him until they prove they can stop.
Yeah, he's done a good job in practice, so we just got to really just coach him up on the details to each one of those plays. And, when you're a young corner, you're going to be tested. That's just part of the game. That's part of the league. They come right at you all the time, and he knows that. And, he's going to have some ups and downs, just like, Kyler Gordon had, just like all the other corners when they first start playing. And he's just going to have to learn from his experiences and get better every single performance, because he's going to have a bucket full of things every single game that he's going to learn from to be able to improve week to week.
All right. How about Tyson Bagent?
Yeah, Tyson did a really nice job, came in there. We thought he orchestrated the offense really nice, had good command, did a really good job with, getting the plays off, in terms of the motions and the shifts and, being very communicative to the offense in the huddle. And he had true command of that, and that was good, and he operated the offense well.
And lastly, I love watching Robert Burns enjoy the fruits of his labor with the touchdown.
Yeah.
And then the hurl of the pile. A lot of enthusiasm, and I just kind of like the way he operates and plays the game. What's your perspective?
Yeah, just the love of the game. He has so much love for the game and that passion, and you can see that in practice and the way he prepares, and also you all saw it today in the game. So I'm glad he got a chance to show that.
All right, well, have fun breaking it all down, and then I know it's going to be an interesting week of it, Halisal. That it's I don't even know how to put it. There's an uncomfortableness probably with the guys wondering what's next, and then everybody finds out, and you move forward and put together the team that will start week 1 against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, there's always 2 days that aren't that great in this profession. It's the cut down day, and then the last day you have with the guys. If it's deep into the playoffs or after the Super Bowl or whatever it might be, because your team's always going to be different the next year. So those are the 2 days that aren't that great.
Matt, good luck with everything. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.